Developing this morning, new details surrounding a woman found dead days after serving her pastor husband divorce papers.
I heard a cry, a faint cry.
We hear from a man who says he heard crying and a gunshot.
This changed my life, actually.
Plus, a new police report alleges Micah Miller's husband had been grooming her for years. Caught on camera, a truck speeding out of control, flying into a river with kids inside. Neighbors rushing from their homes to help.
Thanks to the people that got me out of the car and made sure to call my mom and call the cops.
Like the Wild West, they were shooting at each other.
A wild shootout at a Chicago gas station. Dozens of bullets barely missing customers and fuel lines.
We have 30 cameras. We got police cameras. They don't care.
The owner says he feels powerless to do anything about it.
All the comments I like, the way it makes my days. I'm so happy that you do it. Keep doing it.
And making people laugh, one dad joke at a time. Like, when I retire, I'm going to buy a lighthouse, but nothing flashy. The inspiring 1,500 days of jokes shared around the world. It's Morning in America. And from our NewsNation headquarters in America's heartland, it's time for News for All America. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Nick Smith. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, so let's jump right on in. And let's start with this headline, Betrayed. President Biden says the U.S. will not supply Israel with weapons if its military invades Rafah. Betrayed is how the tabloid New York Post is reporting the developments. This comes after the U.S. paused its planned shipment of 3,500 bombs to Israel. Mr. Biden says Israel has used American bombs to kill Palestinian civilians. And right now, this is a live look at Rafah, where President Biden has repeatedly warned that Israel needs to do far more to protect the lives of the civilians living there. The president's comments come as the Kareem Shalom crossing is now open to aid trucks, but the UN says no supplies have entered and there are no crews on the Palestinian side to receive them. NewsNation's Robert Sherman is live in Tel Aviv. Robert, President Biden has been facing a lot of backlash, primarily from his own party, to do more, but he can't do too much or he'll lose their support.
That's right, Nick. For months on end now, we've heard the president reiterating his stance on an operation in Rafah, but now he is drawing his clearest line in the sand yet. In an interview that he gave this week, the president certainly did not mince words, saying, and I quote, "If they go into Rafah, I'm not supplying the weapons," re-upping the concerns American officials have for the humanitarian situation in that southern city located in Gaza. It's currently estimated that there are over 1 million people sheltering there. Some have been displaced multiple times since the start of the war and are opting to flee again to find safety.
This is the third or fourth time we have had to move. I don't know. We don't know where we will go.
The Israelis well aware of American concerns, but showing no signs of relenting. This is new video showing their forces amassing Monday evening, hundreds of tanks staging, preparing to enter southern Gaza. Still, Israel says they have no plans to take the pressure off of Hamas.
We will continue to keep up the military pressure on Hamas. We know from the last hostage release that we needed both the military pressure and the diplomatic channel.
And you hear that diplomatic pressure there. Those talks are still ongoing between Israel and Hamas to try and get a ceasefire deal together, but both sides not budging on the top line issue. Hamas says that they want a deal that will lead to the end of the war. Israel says that is not on the table. That is the major gap that still needs to be bridged. Nick.
Robert Sherman live for us this morning in Tel Aviv. Robert, thank you. A live look at the White House as the Biden administration is reportedly gearing up to propose new asylum changes for migrants crossing the border. The changes could allow the U.S. to speed up the removal of migrants who officials see as a possible national security or public safety risk. However, any sweeping changes to their immigration policy would most likely be met with pushback from Democrats. The move, expected today, comes as Republican lawmakers are bashing Mr. Biden over how much they say his border policy is allegedly costing taxpayers. NewsNation's Tom Dempsey is at the Capitol. Tom, just how big of a bill are Republicans arguing is being laid in the laps of taxpayers?
Well, look, it's a massive amount, Nick, to answer your question. Look, it's an election year, and border security is really shaping up to be one of the defining issues of the presidential race. So this group of House Republicans has put together some numbers showing a dollar amount tied to the border crisis and its impact on individual American taxpayers. Let's get right to it. It was the House Budget Committee that were presented these numbers this week earlier from the Federation for American Immigration Reform, which is an anti-immigration organization. The group says the border crisis under President Biden has cost American taxpayers $150 billion per year, which it says equates to almost $9,000 per migrant per year. The group says it calculated these numbers, factoring in what it describes as negative economic impact, like billions of dollars for education and medical spending for migrants. But, you know, with this issue involving many different elements, we also want to note a study done by the New American Economy Organization, which describes itself as a bipartisan immigration research group. In a study published in 2021, the group wrote Mexican undocumented immigrants held more than $82 billion in spending power, money that often goes back into local economies as they spend on housing, consumer goods, and services. During the hearing this week, both sides said much more must be done, though, to address the ongoing crisis at the border.
This is the real and significant, and at the state and local levels, especially unsustainable cost of the current border crisis.
It is time to stop playing politics with this very important issue. Let's actually finally get back to a bipartisan solution to fix this American challenge.
Now, over the past 7 months, updated numbers from U.S. Customs and Border Protection show 1.54 million encounters along the southern border, which remains on par with last year's record-setting numbers. Nick?
And that's a lot of money being poured into the economy. Wow. Tom Dempsey live for us this morning. Tom, thank you. And be sure to tune in tonight for a special edition of Dan Abrams Live. NewsNation is live with border authorities as they patrol in real time. Plus, extended conversations with police departments across the country examining the border crisis. That's tonight at 9 Eastern. Watch it live or set your DVR. An adult film actress, Stormy Daniels, is expected to get grilled by President Trump's defense team as she takes the stand for a second day in his hush money trial. The trial resumes in just a few hours after having Wednesday off. Ms. Daniels' sensational account of their alleged affair and the money she was paid to keep quiet about her story is central to the prosecution's case against the 45th president. Mr. Trump is accused of illegally influencing the 2016 presidential election by burying stories that painted him in a negative light. President Trump denies any wrongdoing in the case and says he never slept with the adult film actress. Cries and a gunshot. Those are some of the details being released in the death of a Myrtle Beach pastor's wife. Officials say a man approached them and said he heard crying and a gunshot while he was fishing at the state park in nearby North Carolina, where they say Micah Miller took her own life. Ryan Bass joins us live. And Ryan, so much speculation about this case and new developments. How much weight are police putting on what this man says he heard?
Well, they're definitely taking his account into consideration here, Nick. And look, there's so much national curiosity around Micah Miller's death, but police say there's no conspiracy theory here. She took her own life. And now that man, as you mentioned, is giving us new details about a gunshot that he heard in that same park around the time of Micah Miller's death. Still, there's questions that remain about her relationship with her husband, John Paul Miller, a local pastor at a church that both were involved in. Now, the Robeson County Medical Examiner did confirm that Miller died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound on April 27th. Her body was found in the water at Lumber River State Park, about 70 miles north of Myrtle Beach. A man who claimed to have found Micah's fanny pack with her ID inside, but didn't want his face shown, spoke exclusively with our local affiliate WBTW, saying he heard crying, a gunshot, and then silence.
Maybe 5 minutes after getting into the slough, I heard a cry, a faint cry. Heard it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and the crying stopped. He was out, if it would have been a person out there crying in the opening where I could see him, I'd have checked on him all day long.
And in new police reports obtained by that NewsNation affiliate, Micah told police earlier this year that John Paul had been grooming her for years since she started working for him at the church. They've known each other, she said, since she was 10 years old. Other findings include John Paul having power of attorney over Micah's health care, allegedly transferring the deed of their home to one of his sons and moving Micah's belongings from their home while she experienced a mental health crisis. Now, police released a timeline of the day that Micah died, from the moment she left her house at just after 11:30 in the morning to when she bought the gun police found at the scene at 12:13 in the afternoon, and then less than 3 hours later when she called 911 from that state park, threatening to take her own life. Now, the sheriff's office said that Pastor Miller was not in North Carolina the night before or the day of Micah's death. He was in Charleston at an athletic event, confirmed by surveillance video. He then broke the news to his congregation on the 28th, claiming Micah was struggling with mental illness and took her own life. But friends and family of Micah's say she could not have killed herself. Micah had filed for a divorce from John Paul Miller multiple times, according to reports, including days before her death. She hinted on social media to being in an abusive relationship. There's also recent police reports Micah filed in March saying she was fearful for her life, claiming that someone slashed her tires and a GPS tracking device was put on her car. Now, while many conspiracy theorists have tried to link John Paul Miller to Micah's death, police say the facts show she died by suicide based on surveillance footage, interviews, physical evidence, and, of course, the medical examiner's report. Now, Pastor Miller has since been released from his senior pastor duties at Solid Rock Church and told our Rich McHugh that he never hurt Micah in a text message. But again, so many close friends and relatives here, Nick, are saying that Micah taking her own life just isn't possible.
And still a family wanting so many answers there. Ryan Bass, thank you so much. Developing now, 3 people are dead, and this all after severe storms slammed the Mid-South. Officials saying at least 13 tornadoes, 13, touched down mostly in Illinois, Kentucky, and Tennessee. High winds throwing this car right here off the interstate. Take a look at that video. It's just landing on the side of the road. And did you hear that? Baseball-sized hail pounding the Volunteer State while streets were washed out in a flash flood emergency north of Nashville. That area getting up to 8 inches of rain. And it ain't over yet. That storm system is on the move, re-strengthening this afternoon. Another severe storm outbreak possible from D.C. to Dallas. Damaging winds and big hail, the main threats, but a couple more tornadoes are possible. It's one of those things, Kelsey, that we'll have to keep an eye on for friends and family who live in that area.
Definitely.
I know you're here with the morning headlines. There are a couple of things that you want to talk about this morning. What's happening?
Yeah, we're going to tell you about the Laken Riley case. Of course, there's new updates there. What we're learning is that Georgia grand jury has now indicted Jose Ibarra. He's been formally charged in the murder of nursing student Laken Riley. The charges include malice and felony murder, aggravated assault with intent to rape, kidnapping with bodily injury, and others, a total of 10 counts. Police arrested Ibarra shortly after he allegedly killed Laken while she was on a morning jog on the University of Georgia's campus. The Venezuelan migrant who reportedly crossed over illegally has been denied bond, and he's currently being held in jail. Well, Barron Trump will now be a delegate at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee in July. This is a stark contrast from past campaigns where President Trump's youngest son was kept out of the political spotlight. Barron, who will soon graduate from high school, will serve as the at-large delegate for Florida. He will serve alongside his brothers and his sister Tiffany. Ivanka Trump is the only one of former President Donald Trump's kids not on that list. Well, this right here is not something you see every day. This was on a Southwest Airlines flight. This woman right here, you can see, tucked away inside the overhead compartment, curled up next to luggage. The passenger taking this video said that people just walked right by her. A flight attendant found her just before takeoff, and we also asked Southwest Airlines for a statement. We are waiting to hear back. Nick, this is some shocking video. I want to know, how did she get up there inside that compartment?
I do not mind telling you, I marvel at her flexibility.
I was thinking the same. I mean, I'm a little person, and I couldn't even get up there.
And you don't even want to see me trying to squeeze up in there. So we can just leave it. Kelsey, thank you so much. Absolutely. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene booed on the House floor. Take a listen.
Declaring the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives to be vacant.
Only 11 Republicans wanting to take up the bill to get rid of Speaker Mike Johnson. How this reflects on the Georgia Congresswoman and what makes this time different from when the House agreed to oust former Speaker Kevin McCarthy.
We're shocked, devastated, traumatized.
In a NewsNation exclusive, the brother of a U.S. citizen missing in Madrid speaks out after her husband is arrested in connection with her disappearance. The latest details in the case as her family holds out hope she'll come home.
James Carville weighs in on the presidential race tonight on CUOMO, 8/7 Central.
Imagine a future where plastic is not wasted, but instead remade over and over into the things that keep our food fresher, our families safer, and our planet cleaner. To help us get there, America's plastic makers are investing billions of dollars to create innovative products and new recycling technologies for sustainable change. Because when you push for smarter solutions, big things can happen.
Right now, you can get a free footlong at Subway. Just buy any footlong in the app and get one free. Just scan the QR code and enter promo code FLBOGO. It only works from the other side of the screen, buddy.
You still got a landline in your house.
Order now on the Subway app.
If you have Graves' disease, gritty eyes could be more than a rough patch. People with Graves could also get thyroid eye disease, or TED, which may need a different doctor. Find a TED eye specialist at isitted.com.
Fashion moves fast. Setting trends is our business. We need to scale with customer demand in real time.
So we partner with Verizon. Their solution for us? A private 5G network.
We now get more control of production, efficiencies, and greater agility.
With a custom private 5G network, our customers get what they want when they want it.
Now we're even smarter and ready for what's next.
Achieve enterprise intelligence. It's your vision. It's your Verizon.
After years of taking hits as an NFL running back, I know a thing or two about aches and discomfort. Magna Life Arnica Pain Relief Gel is packed with natural ingredients that target the root cause of discomfort instead of covering it up.
Does your windshield have a crack? Trust SafeLight. This customer had auto glass damage, but he was busy working from home. So he scheduled with SafeLight in just a few clicks. We came to his house. Then we got to work. We replaced his windshield and installed new wipers to protect his new glass.
It's great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
We come to you for free. Schedule now for free mobile service at safelight.com.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
If you spit blood when you brush, it could be the start of a domino effect. New Parodontax Active Gum Repair Breath Freshener. Clinically proven to help reverse the 4 signs of early gum disease. A new toothpaste from Parodontax, the gum experts.
Sometimes investing can feel like you're going at it alone. Especially when it comes to adding crypto to your portfolio. But it doesn't have to be that way. As the world's largest crypto asset manager, you'll find a lot of people holding Grayscale funds, which means you're investing in good company. Grayscale, crypto investing begins here.
Tonight on NewsNation. Crisis on the border. NewsNation is taking you to the front lines.
From the air and on the ground, ride with Border Patrol live and see firsthand what our communities across America and our law enforcement are truly battling.
No other network will show you what's really happening at the border. In-depth and in detail like you've never seen. NewsNation will. A must-see primetime event. Crisis on the Border. A special edition of Dan Abrams Live. Tonight at 9/8 Central. Only on NewsNation.
An 18-year-old who was caught on camera allegedly spraying his Washington, D.C. neighborhood with 26 bullets from an AR-15 is now on house arrest ahead of his trial. But D.C.'s U.S. attorney is looking to reverse that decision. Amonte Moody is accused of firing at a car driving down a public street just 2 miles from the Capitol building on April 22nd. No one was injured in the shooting, which was caught on at least 3 different cameras, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Moody is charged with endangerment with a firearm, possession of a weapon, and assault. Fallout on Capitol Hill this morning after the House quickly blocks a bill to oust Speaker Mike Johnson. Republicans' tensions flaring up on the floor as Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene introduced her resolution to get rid of her party's leader.
The form of the resolution is as follows. Declaring the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives to be vacant. This is the party for the American people watching.
163 Democrats joining with 196 Republicans to table that resolution, allowing Speaker Johnson to keep his job. Let's bring in national political reporter for TheHill.com, Julia Manchester. Julia, good morning. Let's dive right into this. That was clearly a rebuke of Marjorie Taylor Greene's move, but it's also sending a message that she wanted to send that Mr. Johnson clearly needed Democrats to support shooting down that bill.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. Look, it's reflective of, obviously Johnson working together with Democrats last month to get that national security supplemental through, and Democrats saying they would save Mike Johnson in the case that Marjorie Taylor Greene were to pull this motion to vacate motion. Now, it's important to note that the vast majority of Republicans also sided with Democrats and Johnson in this. It was really remarkable to watch this coverage yesterday to see a number of House Republicans, including some very vulnerable House Republicans facing tough uphill re-election bids this fall, out on the front steps of the Capitol following this, essentially calling this a dumpster fire and a reckless move, and really digging into Marjorie Taylor Greene for doing this. So a lot of anger this morning on Capitol Hill. Also a lot of eye rolling as well. I mean, from the members the Hill has talked to, we've gotten the sense that, look, we want to return to normal business. This is just essentially political theater.
Just 11 Republicans opposing to table Greene's bill, but it wasn't only Republicans who were against this move. Former President Trump, who is an ally of Ms. Greene's, nonetheless came out against this effort, saying now is not the time to remove Johnson. But Julia, some of Mr. Trump's other backers, like Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk, have been blasting Johnson. Is this fight far from over, especially since Johnson needed Democrats to save him?
So look, Nick, I think we can look at this sort of in a twofold way. There's the fight within the House of Representatives and itself as a body, and we are seeing that the majority of Republicans and Democrats are behind Johnson and that he should keep his job for now. Now, for Democrats, that could very much change later this year. It could change also for Republicans, but right now they are against this motion to vacate. But I think when you zoom out to the broader conservative Republican universe, particularly in conservative media, for example, you have a lot of conservatives who are, fed up with Mike Johnson. They don't like that he worked with, Democrats to pass this national security supplemental because of this, this unhappiness over continued giving the aid to Ukraine. But also, a lot of conservatives feel that Johnson did not do enough to get, funding to secure the southern border. Now, those Republicans who I mentioned earlier, who were out on the front steps blasting Marjorie Taylor Greene for this move, they say, look, of course we want more on the border, but this is all a part of governing. You have to make some compromises, and that's what Mike Johnson has said all along.
Compromises on Capitol Hill? Julia, surely you jest. Julia Manchester, live for us this morning. Julia, thank you so much. Scary moments caught on camera. We say this all the time, but that truly looked like something out of a movie. A mother driving a truck full of young girls crashes into a riverbank. Neighbors and drivers rush to the rescue.
I'm trying to give this area something beautiful, just like other stores around here, and we just need some help to keep it that way, desperately.
This business owner clearly frustrated and echoing the concerns of so many business owners in Chicago. This business owner pleading for help after a wild shootout at his gas station. As he says, it's not the first time this has happened.
When migraine strikes, you're faced with a choice. Ride it out with the trade-offs of treating, or push through the pain and symptoms. With UBRELVY, there's another option. One dose works fast to eliminate migraine pain. Treat it anytime, anywhere, without worrying where you are or if it's too late.
Do not take with strong CYP3A4 inhibitors. Allergic reactions to UBRELVY can happen. Most common side effects were nausea and sleepiness.
Migraine pain relief starts with you. Ask about UBRELVY. Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Did you know that only 1 in 10 Americans consume adequate amounts of fruits and vegetables? AG1 fills nutritional gaps and promotes gut health with essential vitamins and minerals, pre- and probiotics, and superfoods. Supporting your health doesn't need to be complicated. Try AG1 today.
Moving forward with node-positive breast cancer,
My fear of recurrence could have held me back.
but I'm staying focused and doing more to prevent recurrence.
Verzenio is specifically for HR-positive, HER2-negative, node-positive early breast cancer with a high chance of returning as determined by your doctor when added to hormone therapy. Verzenio reduces the risk of recurrence versus hormone therapy alone. Diarrhea is common, may be severe, or cause dehydration or infection. At the first sign, call your doctor, start an antidiarrheal, and drink fluids. Before taking Verzenio, tell your doctor about any fever, chills, or other signs of infection. Verzenio may cause low white blood cell counts, which may cause serious infection that can lead to death. Life-threatening lung inflammation can occur. Tell your doctor about any new or worsening trouble breathing, cough, or chest pain. Serious liver problems can happen. Symptoms include fatigue, appetite loss, stomach pain, and bleeding or bruising. Blood clots that can lead to death have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have pain or swelling in your arms or legs, shortness of breath, chest pain, and rapid breathing or heart rate, or if you are nursing, pregnant, or plan to be.
I'm focusing on what counts.
Talk to your doctor about reducing your risk.
Your shipping manager left to find themselves, leaving you lost. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Indeed Instant Match instantly delivers quality candidates matching your job description. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Let your feet take you wherever your spirit wants to go. The one and only Hurricane helps you navigate any surface so you can go anywhere your heart desires. Redesigned from top to bottom, it truly stands alone. Now you can walk easier down whatever path you choose. Move forward with confidence at hurricane.com. Also available at Walmart and walmart.com.
CUOMO just cleaned my entire house for $19. Seriously, $19. They showed up right on time and did my dishes, my laundry, they even cleaned my windows. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19. I love using CUOMO, and I think you will too.
I can feel the winds of change.
Yeah, what you're looking at right there is not only scary, it's shocking. That crash happened this week. A mom's truck with her daughter and 2 friends goes airborne and lands in the water. Luckily, I can tell you that everyone survived. Now police are investigating whether the mom lost control or may have been inebriated at the time of that crash. Kelsey, you tracked down one of the families whose daughter was in that truck at the time, and I know that they had a few things to say about that as well.
Yeah, this video gets me every time I watch it, Nick. And what we can tell you is that thankfully neighbors heard the crash. They jumped into action. You can see the very moments that this truck flew into the riverbank, landing into the water. This happened in Monroe County, Michigan. Officials say that the driver was allegedly under the influence. And get this, there were 3 children in the car. Shelwyn Reese's daughter, who we spoke to, her daughter, just 13 years old, was inside that car when it crashed. Thankfully, she and the other girls survived.
People that got me out of the car and made sure to call my mom and called the cops, and to the people that have came to visit me and have texted me to make sure I'm all right.
Her daughter right there with black eyes. Reese says that her daughter is still struggling with what happened.
The emotional impact is she's very traumatized to even get into a vehicle at this point. We were happy to bring her home, but unfortunately the effect of that on her is she was still in such shock, and the emotion of it, she was just shaking in the car, and she ended up getting sick on the way home.
Yeah, terrifying moments. It's not just Tavin who we're finding out is dealing with the shock and impact of this terrible accident.
Watching that video, my heart sinks every single time. And then in that moment, I do just have to thank God that my baby girl is alive, that all of those girls are alive.
Tavin's mom told us that she has been in contact with the other girls. They are all still recovering from what has happened. They have minor injuries, one even having to have surgery. The mother who was driving the car is still in the hospital. No charges have been filed just as of yet. And investigators are still awaiting toxicology reports. But I also did a little digging. This is a residential area. Speed limit is 15 miles per hour. And there's a lot of kids playing outside. And she was going extremely fast. At this time, we don't know how fast.
There are a whole lot of questions that need to be answered in this situation, for sure. But I'm so glad that little girl was okay.
And all 4 of them are okay.
Kelsey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, a Chicago business owner putting out the call for help, asking city leaders to step in after his 7-Eleven became the scene of another shootout another one. It's not the first time. Angelica Sanchez with our NewsNation affiliate here in Chicago has that story.
This way, and then I think he did most of the damage because he was shooting from there.
7-Eleven store owner Jonathan Novak shows us the damage to his gas station after bullets went flying Monday night.
The garbage cans, that one got shot, and then the one over there. I mean, dude, it was nuts.
Surveillance shows a customer enter a store on the corner of Crenshaw and Jefferson in the South Loop. We are blurring the customer's face because no one has been criminally charged. Outside, police say an argument escalates into gunfire.
One carload shooting another car from both pumps.
The man inside the store takes out his gun and shoots back.
You know, like the Wild West, they were shooting at each other.
Novak says, unfortunately, this isn't the first time his store has been caught in the middle of a violent act.
It makes my workers quit. I have so much turnaround here in 1 year. It's probably most in other stores, you know. It's all my life, I've never had so much turnaround. I can't even get workers here.
This crossfire not only could have been deadly, but could have resulted in an explosion. The owner tells me a bullet hit this pump and barely missed the gas lines.
You know, I'm trying to give this area something beautiful, just like other stores around here, and we just need some help to keep it that way, you know, desperately.
Customers tell us their thoughts on the shooting.
And it's just a shame. Like I said, I'm just glad nobody got hurt.
Novak says he's done all he can to implement safety measures.
We have 30 cameras.
For your safety, the parking lot is being video recorded.
We got police cameras. They don't care. They act like it's not even there.
Novak says he's also having issues with the homeless encampment nearby. He says he's frustrated and hopes this brazen shooting gets the attention of city leaders.
I mean, I know it's hard to pay attention to everything, but it'd be nice for a little help.
Wow, that video is really something to see. That was Angelica Sanchez reporting. Despite police finding dozens of bullet casings across that lot, no one was hurt. Officials say the next World War could be out of this world. The Star Wars movies may not have been too far off. How countries, including the U.S., are preparing for combat in space. Plus, the city of Dallas may soon offer residents $200 if they buy electric lawn equipment at a cost of $24 million to taxpayers. But not everyone is happy about it. And later, I'll go one-on-one with IndyCar star Felix Rehnquist as he gears up for the Indy 500 only 17 days away. He's also going to tell us about filming the hit CW show 100 Days to Indy. You don't want to miss it.
Listen up, America. Meat has problems, and it's going to take us, meat eaters, to solve them. So when the world says too much meat is bad and we should eat less of it, we say no, world. We should eat more. Because now we can turn plants into burgers and hot dogs. Even meatballs. Now, plants can be meat. Come on, people. Let's punch cholesterol in the face. We're solving the meat problem with more meat. Impossible! Meat from plants!
It was one thing when my mom got Alzheimer's, but then we started noticing things that seemed off. She developed agitation that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Sometimes she'd fidget with her fingers, get suddenly overwhelmed, and even throw things. And that was just never her. So we asked her doctor what else we could do.
Rexulti is the only FDA-approved medication proven to reduce agitation symptoms that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Rexulti can cause serious side effects. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke, report fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, which can be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, weight gain, increased cholesterol, low white blood cells, unusual urges, dizziness on standing, falls, seizures, trouble swallowing, or sleepiness may occur.
Rexulti helped reduce my mom's symptoms.
Take action for your loved one. Ask their doctor about Rexulti.
After last month's massive solar flare added a 25th hour to the day, businesses are wondering, what should we do with it?
Bacon and eggs, 25/7.
You're darn right.
Solar stocks are up 20% with the additional hour in the day.
I'm ruined.
With the extra hour, I'm thinking company-wide power nap. Let's put it to a vote.
This is going to wreak havoc on overtime approvals.
Anything can change the world of work. From HR to payroll, ADP designs forward-thinking solutions to take on the next anything.
Shingles. Some describe it as an intense burning sensation or an unbearable itch.
This painful, blistering rash can disrupt your life for weeks and could make it hard to be there for your loved ones. Shingles can also lead to serious complications that can last for years. If you're over 50, the virus that causes shingles is likely already inside you. And as you age, your risk of developing shingles increases. Don't wait. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about shingles today.
My mental health was better, but uncontrollable movements called TD, tardive dyskinesia, started disrupting my day.
TD felt embarrassing. I felt like disconnecting. I asked my doctor about treating my TD and learned about Ingrezza.
Ingrezza is clinically proven for reducing TD. Most people saw results in just 2 weeks. People taking Ingrezza can stay on most mental health meds. Only #1 prescribed Ingrezza has simple dosing for TD. Always 1 pill once daily. Ingrezza can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, behaviors, feelings, or have thoughts of suicide. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects including angioedema, potential heart rhythm problems, and abnormal movements. Report fevers, stiff muscles, or problems thinking, as these may be life-threatening. Sleepiness is the most common side effect.
Take control by asking your doctor about Ingrezza.
The race to weaponize space is ramping up, with China's new program to build a base on the dark side of the moon. And Russia opposing a UN resolution preventing nuclear weapons in space, the United States appears to be preparing for a world war in space. The Pentagon now proposing to move National Guard units to the Space Force program, and it's garnering major opposition from lawmakers on both sides. The Air Force explaining to NewsNation's senior national correspondent why it's important to arm the sixth branch of the military.
They did say, in terms of like war in space, they do believe that the next world war will be in outer space and fought in space. They were very clear about that, which is why, you know, it's now the sixth branch of the military in the U.S. why they say it's so important, Space Force.
Why it's so important, Space Force. That's in focus on NewsNation's podcast, Reality Check, with Ross Coulthart. The latest episode is live now. To catch it, just take out your phone and scan the QR code on your screen right there, or visit NewsNation's website or YouTube page. Joining me now is NewsNation's special correspondent, Ross Coulthart. Ross, thank you so much. I want to pick up where Brian kind of left off, because I think a lot of people sit back and they think fighting in space, but all of this is quite possibly a reality that could happen. What do you make of the Biden administration's push to bolster Space Force numbers with National Guardsmen? Does that indicate to you that the Biden administration feels the U.S. is lagging behind China and Russia in this new modern day of space racing?
Well, good morning, Nick. Yes, well, heaven forbid that we ever do have to fight a war in space, but I think it's important for our national security to be ready for it. And that's what Space Force is all about. And I can understand why there is a push to consolidate the forces that we do have to be ready. I mean, Space Force has only been around for, I think, since the end of 2019, when it became the sixth and newest service in the US military. And what we often, I think, don't understand, and we've talked about this previously on your show, is the fact that there's so much technology, so much that we're reliant on through satellite technology that runs our economies, runs our banking, runs our communications and our internet. And overnight, instantaneously in a conflict, those technological resources could be cut off in an instant. And so Space Force is absolutely vital. It's very, very important to protect those resources and make sure that we actually have the capability in the event of conflict to be able to be organized to be able to defend ourselves.
Yeah, and Ross, I think the most agreed that the next conflict, should it occur, will not be a ground game, that it will be one that is technological and one in space. In this latest episode of Reality Check, you mentioned the Outer Space Treaty and what could happen if it's breached. I want to take a listen to that soundbite and talk on the other side.
Space Force and Space Command, it's quite obvious there is a growing concern that the Russians and the Chinese are potentially moving towards breaching the Outer Space Treaty, which was signed, I think, back in 1967. So very, very good reasons for why the Space Force has been created. And as I've said, there are people I talk to here in Australia, people in my government, who are very proud of the role that Australia plays in helping the detection of space objects. And there are arrays that have been erected right across Western and Southern Australia to actually assist in this work. And I think there's a huge amount of pride here in Australia that as part of the Five Eyes Alliance, we're feeding information, intelligence from space into Space Force and other commands, including Space Command.
And Ross, I know that Australia is part of that alliance, but part of the Outer Space Treaty limits the use of the moon and other celestial bodies to peaceful purposes. Are you concerned about China's moon base and its intentions once it's actually built?
I'm less concerned about China's moon base than I am about Russia's plans for anti-satellite weapons. Yes, we should always be concerned about what our potential adversaries might be up to, but the real evidence of concern in recent years has been growing bellicose statements and actions by Russia in particular, involving the deployment of what look like potential anti-satellite weapons. And Nick, there's a lot of evidence coming from the White House, from the National Security Advisor, of growing concerns that the Russians are developing what potentially might be an anti-satellite nuclear weapon in space, which would be a flagrant breach of that outer space treaty. And it would be an absolute catastrophe for the entire planet if a nuclear weapon with the X-rays that are emitted by those weapons was allowed to destroy pretty much all of the satellite infrastructure that we've already built on this planet. It would overnight destroy technology, communications, banking, finance, internet. It would be an absolute catastrophe. And I think it's in everybody's interests to ensure that we don't get to the point where there is a conflict where these kind of weapons are being deployed. And so I think there's a lot of questions about what China is up to on the other side of the moon. Why is it so interested on the dark side of the moon? But a lot of the focus, frankly, coming from the White House, the National Security Advisors, has been on what Russia's up to with its plans to deploy anti-satellite weapons.
Anti-satellite weapons. Ross Coulthart with the sobering warning this morning. Ross, thank you so much. You can watch Reality Check with Ross Coulthart exclusively online. Just scan the QR code on your screen or visit NewsNation's website or YouTube page. This morning, there may be a new financial incentive to get homeowners to use electric lawn equipment. Some states banning gas-powered mowers altogether and others offering cash or rebate programs. But is this government overreach or good motivation? NewsNation's Stephanie Haynes is live in Dallas, where officials are considering a rebate plan that would cost taxpayers $24 million. Stephanie, this could be quite polarizing. So how is it being received? Because I think most people want to do the right thing, but if that right thing is going to cost taxpayers millions of dollars, there are going to be a lot of questions.
Yeah, and that's one of the questions kind of going forward, Nick. But here's sort of what is proposed here in Dallas. They want to give people $100 for them to switch out their gas-powered push mower for an electric one. And based on the research that the city officials provided, the low end cost of an electric push mower is around $500. So some people might say, no way, that's still way too expensive, but it might turn some heads and it might prompt some people to rethink about it. So, and that's sort of what the plan is that they want to go with right now. But let's look more at the breakdown of prices. You know, if you have a leaf blower, you have trimmers, you have a chainsaw, those are all going to be $50 off. The push mower, $100 off, riding mower, $200, and then $25 for the replacement battery. Again, this is just a proposal that went through committee, so it still has to go before the full city council later on. And the research they provided shows that you could break even with the electric versions in about 1 to 3 years by saving the money that you would have spent on gas. And they estimate, as you said, this rebate program could cost the city about $24 million, which they would use from the city's general fund. To be clear, this is a voluntary incentive program proposed for residents only, not commercial. And dozens of communities across the country have similar sort of incentive programs in place. It's not a proposed ban. And in fact, that's illegal here in Texas, along with at least 23 other states, according to a report report from the Public Interest Research Group. And one of the reasons that is, Nick, is to help protect landscaping businesses who rely a lot on gas-powered lawn equipment. And that is a potential future challenge that was discussed in committee this week.
I would support any of these programs, whether for residential, also for commercial, as long as it's incentive-based. If we ever get to the point where it's more of the stick versus the carrot, I think it's going to take a lot more conversations, because you got to make sure you're not harming folks, during the transitions.
And all of this to say, Nick, supporters of plans like this say that this will really help improve the environment and, improve the air that we all breathe. According to a study from the EPA back in 2020, it found that an hour of mowing the lawn is basically the same as the same amount of chemicals emitted into the air as it would be driving a new car for 45 miles, Nick.
But it's interesting to hear your subject talk about he wants to know what those incentives might be, because that carrot stick approach does not work for everyone. Stephanie Haynes, live for us this morning. Stephanie, thank you. And controversy continues to swirl around South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem after the release of her new book. Now, journalist and host Megyn Kelly is giving her take on the governor.
She's been exposed. 2 months ago, I would have sung her praises had I been on your show, Elizabeth.
Where Kelly says Noem went wrong to go from the top to the bottom in just a matter of weeks.
Okay, everyone, our mission is to provide complete balanced nutrition for strength and energy.
Ensure with 27 vitamins and minerals, nutrients for immune health, and Ensure Complete with 30 grams of protein.
Want to know a secret? With new Secret Outlast. You can almost miss the bus, but smell like you didn't. Secret fights 99% of odor-causing bacteria. Smell fresh for up to 72 hours. Secret works.
It's a crime to smell that good.
I told myself I was okay with my moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis symptoms,
With my psoriatic arthritis symptoms.
but just okay isn't okay. And I was done settling.
If you still have symptoms after a TNF blocker like Humira or Enbrel, Rinvoq is different and may help. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can rapidly relieve joint pain, stiffness, and swelling in RA and PSA, relieve fatigue for some, and stop joint damage. And in PSA, can leave skin clear or almost clear.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin, heart attack, stroke, and GI tears occurred. People 50 and older with a heart disease risk factor have an increased risk of death. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Done settling?
Ask your rheumatologist for Rinvoq.
And take back what's yours.
AbbVie could help you save.
Did you know GoodRx can help you get a better price on your family's prescriptions?
I just open the app, type in the name of our meds. That's it. Savings on my asthma medication. All right, round two, baby, round two. Oh, yeah. Savings on my husband's blood pressure refills. And savings on my daughter's allergy pills.
Prescription savings for the whole family.
Have a good one.
Another good reason to check GoodRx.
If you have wet AMD, you never want to lose sight of the things you love. Some things should stand the test of time. Long-lasting Eylea HD could significantly improve your vision and can help you go up to 4 months between treatments. If you have an eye infection, eye pain or redness, or allergies to Eylea HD, don't use. Eye injections like Eylea HD may cause eye infection, separation of the retina, or rare but severe swelling of blood vessels in the eye. An increase in eye pressure has been seen. There's an uncommon risk of heart attack or stroke associated with blood clots. The most common side effects were blurred vision, cataract, corneal injury, and eye floaters. And there's still so much to see. If you are on Eylea or a similar type of treatment, ask your retina specialist about Eylea HD today for the potential for fewer injections.
Guys, got hair loss? I know what you're thinking. Should I shave my head? Comb it over? Wear a hat? Just stop. This isn't 1970. Keep your hair and your confidence because Bosley, America's #1 hair restoration experts, can give you your real hair back permanently. Check them out because they're giving away an absolutely free information kit and a free gift card to everyone who scans this QR code. Dude, you don't have to look like your dad because this isn't your dad's hair loss treatment. People all over the country trust Bosley because they're ahead of the curve. They use the latest technology to give you your real hair back. And the best part, Bosley's permanent solution is protected by the Bosley Guarantee. Let them show you for free how awesome your hair could look with an absolutely free information kit and a gift card for $250 off. Scan the QR code. Don't wait. Scan the code now and ask about the Bosley Guarantee.
We're shocked, devastated, traumatized. It's just been very hard for us.
In a NewsNation exclusive, we're hearing from the brother of an American woman who went missing in Spain. Ana Nisevich was last seen February 2nd in Madrid. Since then, her estranged husband has been charged and arrested with kidnapping. Officials say shortly before Anna was last seen, a man could be spotted spray painting surveillance cameras outside her apartment in Madrid. About an hour later, that same person is seen leaving with a suitcase. NewsNation's Xavier Walton has more on this conversation. Xavier, there are a lot of questions surrounding this case, but right now, are police moving with anything different?
Not at this point, Nick. And you know what? The family, they are speaking out, giving everyone a glimpse of what the last few months have really been like for them, sharing some of their pain, if you will. Anna and David, you know what? They lived in this home just behind me. The family saying they've made memories here, but also saying it has been just extremely hard, and they are just desperate for more answers every single day at this point. However, when the family is speaking, you know, they made it very clear that they didn't want to focus on the investigation into David Nesevich, Anna's husband, and the kidnapping charge he is facing. Instead, the family focusing on the woman they say, you know, lights up a room. Anna, who lived here in South Florida for almost 2 decades, went missing in Spain in early February. She was in Madrid while she and her husband went through what court documents described as a contentious divorce. Here's Anna's brother speaking exclusively to NewsNation's Brooke Schaefer.
We're shocked, devastated, traumatized. It's just been very hard for us. We'll have that hope, but I mean, authorities told me it's not very likely, but we'll have that hope.
They told you it's not very likely that she's alive right now.
So family not discussing details from Anna's disappearance dating back to February 2nd. Here's a brief timeline, though. Police say on that day, a man that looked similar to David, her husband, was seen buying spray paint and duct tape. Then security cameras caught Anna enter her apartment building. Several hours later, those same cameras recording a man, again resembling her husband, entering that same building. Authorities say that man then spray paints the surveillance camera. About an hour later, the same man left with a suitcase. Meantime, the FBI is involved in this investigation. Investigators say that David initially told police he was in Serbia at the time of Anna's disappearance. But authorities, you know what, later found he rented a car in Serbia, and it was traced to that same street of Anna's apartment in Madrid. David, the husband, expected in federal court tomorrow morning for a bond hearing, Nick.
Xavier Walton, live for us in Florida this morning. Xavier, thank you. New details released in the death of a pastor's wife, Mika Miller. We hear from a man who heard crying and gunshot near where her body was found. Plus, allegations her husband may have been grooming her for years.
If you have Graves' disease and itchy eyes, the truth may be even more uncomfortable. People with Graves could also get thyroid eye disease, or TED, which may need a different doctor. Find a TED eye specialist at isitted.com.
If you spit blood when you brush, it could be the start of a domino effect. New Parodontax Active Gum Repair Breath Freshener. Clinically proven to help reverse the 4 signs of early gum disease. A new toothpaste from Parodontax, the gum experts.
Does your windshield have a crack? Trust Safelite. This customer had auto glass damage, but he was busy working from home.
So he scheduled with Safelite in just a few clicks. We came to his house. Then we got to work. We replaced his windshield and installed new wipers to protect his new glass.
It's great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
We come to you for free. Schedule now for free mobile service at safelite.com.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Nothing dims my light like a migraine. With Nurtec ODT, I found relief.
The only migraine medication that helps treat and prevent all in one.
To those with migraine, I see you.
For the acute treatment of migraine with or without aura and the preventive treatment of episodic migraine in adults. Don't take if allergic to Nurtec ODT. Allergic reactions can occur even days after using. Most common side effects were nausea, indigestion, and stomach pain.
It's time we all shine. Talk to a healthcare provider about Nurtec ODT from Pfizer.
Life with AFib can mean a lifetime of blood thinners. And if you're troubled by falls and bleeds, worry follows you everywhere. Over 400,000 people have left blood thinners behind with Watchman. Watchman is a safe, minimally invasive, one-time implant that reduces stroke risk and bleeding worry for life. Watchman, it's one time for a lifetime.
Imagine a future where plastic is not wasted, but instead remade over and over into the things that keep our food fresher, our families safer, and our planet cleaner. To help us get there, America's plastic makers are investing billions of dollars to create innovative products and new recycling technologies for sustainable change. Because when you push for smarter solutions, big things can happen.
My name's Eric. I am 39 years old. I've started thinking about getting Botox Cosmetic for the last couple of years. I just see myself on video calls all day, and I really start noticing the lines. I'm still Eric, and I got Botox Cosmetic. I'm seeing a lot less prominent lines than I did before. The results have been subtle but noticeable. Botox Cosmetic is FDA approved to temporarily make frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better. The effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Do not receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow, eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Tell your doctor about your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, and medications including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
All right, well, a dad in New York is cracking jokes, and he has a lot of people signing on to see what he has to say every morning. It started earlier, and he has more than 1,500 jokes. Take a look.
My daughter lives in Charleston, South Carolina, and she happened to drive by one of her neighborhoods, and some guy put a sign out, and it's like the first part of COVID. And she took a couple pictures. He sent the picture to me, and she said, Dad, this is something you could probably do. I haven't missed a day since March of 2020.
Yeah, and since then, he's got a huge following. Driving by every day, people are taking a look at those jokes, posting his jokes on social media. And get this, he's gotten fan mail from all over the world, Australia, South Africa, people from all over the world really taking a liking to Woody's jokes. Let's take a look back at some of the things that are happening right now. Here's a quick rewind of the stories that we're talking about today.
When you recorded your own audiobook, you didn't notice
I'm
this
not going to
passage?
discuss about my meetings with world leaders.
I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you about recording the audio.
Did you want to talk about something else today?
She wasn't going there.
No, I don't. Good job. You're one of the few I've seen who actually pressed her in the proper way and cross-examined her on trying to get her to actually ask or answer the question asked.
Well, it's only because
She's
I
doing
wrote
terribly,
a book and I recorded the audiobook, and I remember that happens months before the book comes out, and I remember seeing her post that picture and video of herself, and I was like, wait a second, all this, like, we just found out. It's like, no, you read it.
She wrote it, read it, endorsed it, and tried to sell it. She got caught because she didn't think that the rest of us were smart enough to figure out it's a big deal to meet with Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
It's a very small collection of Americans who have done it, and some no-name congresswoman from South Dakota, which is what she was at the time, would not be on the list.
Yeah.
So she did read it, and she did that because she wanted to mislead us, which is par for the course now for this woman. She's been exposed. 2 months ago, I would have sung her praises had I been on your show, Elizabeth. I thought she was this star, this rising star within the Republican Party. You know, she really has lived a rancher's life. That's legitimate. She's had a rough life. She lost her dad in a tragic accident, and she has a great personal story. Now I see her as a complete charlatan. Not only the dog killing story, but the lies that were told afterward. You know, it went from the dog killed some chickens on a farm and then snapped at her when she tried to take one of the chickens out of its mouth.
And now he's killing livestock and children.
Livestock, like he's out there, you know, taking down live deer and horses and cows at every turn. It was like, okay, he killed a couple of chickens, which my Strudwick, who's such a problem, he has his own newsletter, would 100% do if I did what she did, which is bring him in an open back pickup truck to a chicken farm when he's untrained and he's a puppy. So she's lying about it now, saying he was attacking people, that he was a danger to her children, even though her own book espouses that when her daughter got off the bus, the first reaction was,
where's Cricket?
Cricket? She went on a crime spree.
And today on News Nation's Elizabeth Vargas Reports, former congressman and son of Ted Kennedy, Patrick Kennedy, joins Elizabeth to talk about his new book on mental health, plus his cousin RFK Jr.'s White House ride. You can catch all that if you tune in at 5 p.m. Eastern right here on News Nation. Well, grab your coffee. We have more news for all America.